You mustn't run away.
You're looking at the most advanced weapon system ever developed by man.
You must confront your father.
Either we stop that angel,
I mustn't run away.
The synthetic humanoid Evangelion.
And you must confront yourself.
or humanity's future ends here.
This is Unit 1.
Vice Command, we confirm the target is coming online.
Understood. All personnel to battle stations. Condition 1.
Terminal signal front. Ejecting now.
Injection confirmed. Inserting entry plug.
Psychological contamination is within the standard range. Now flooding entry plug. Wait, what is this?
Just relax. Once your lungs are filled with the LCL, it'll allow your blood to be oxygenated directly.
We are go for launch!
I mustn't run away.
Ikari, are you sure this was the right thing to do?
Retracting umbilical bridge. Disengage lockbolt.
Release confirmed. Current status. Unit 1 is free.
Internal batteries fully charged.
I mustn't run away.
Transfer Ava Unit 1 to the launch pad.
Launch it! I mustn't run away. I mustn't run away!
Fine, I'll do it. I'll be your pilot.
Ready, Shinji?
My God, man. Do you know what this means? This skitter's gonna be turned upside down, I tell you, upside down. If you get on his bad side, brother, you're done for. Now, it's only a matter of time before he finds out, and when he does, no matter where he is, get ready, gentlemen, because hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming.
You think you're the best? I hope you are. A Gundam mobile suit is a fully articulated, fully equipped machine, armed with the most sophisticated weaponry known to man. To be a complete Gundam pilot, you must train on both Gundam systems. Believe me, gentlemen, to beat the best, you have to be the best.
Hello, everyone. I'm David Kay, aka the voice of Professor X from that old series, X-Men Evolution. And you're listening to Gundam at MAHQ. Logan? Logan, where is Storm? Tell her to come for tea.
Let us do no such Gundam thing.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Gundam at MAHQ. This is one of your hosts, Neo, and joining me always is Soul Bro and Chris. Guys, say hello.
What's happening, y'all?
What? Hello. Ooh, hello. Hello there, sir.
Hello, my name is Cristobal Rios. How are you doing?
Cristobal? Oh, shit. He's got a stogie at the ready, son.
That's true. You would be here, spoiler alert.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you would kind of be
You
here.
would be here!
How are you doing? How's the boy?
He's a little shit.
Yes! He is a little shit.
Still stealing cookies.
Yeah, he's a little shit. So, well, how do you like the 21st century as opposed to the 24th century? I guess it was.
It's
better
not
to
so
say-
bad, but I'm not looking forward to World War III.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
I know, right? Eugenics wars got pushed up to the 21st century. Yo, it's looking real good.
Yes. Sorry about that. I don't know. Maybe you saw it in the historical archives, Starfleet archives. You ever see the Terminator series where Judgment Day? They could never stop it. It just got delayed to a later time. So yes, World War III, eugenics wars. Now they're in the 21st century. So yeah. So. But hopefully we all make it through. So nice to have you there, Cristobal Rios. What about Chris? Is Chris Guanche there? Is he around?
Oh, hey guys, what's up?
Hey, what's up? I didn't know you had a sleepover friend. So.
I think he used the Palpatine / Dennis side door.
Oh, you
how many times I nail it up? Like somebody always just sneaks right on through.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought you had that like cemented over at one point. You put a bunch of blocks there.
Yo, man, he's got access to Talon's transporter, man. He can't. There's no way you can hide from him. It's over.
He brought a cigar though, so that's.
He did, man.
Yeah, and I mean it's gotta be. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's as creepy as Palpatine, and I'm sure the room doesn't stink after he's in it like it does with Dennis. So
yeah. We're having a good time. we're gonna go make some empanadas after this.
There you go. Awesome. So, but guys, how's everything? As we go into episode 257 here, and as I saunter over to the Larry King Memorial News Studio for some news. Hey guys, anything you need to talk about before we jump into some news here?
Well, what's the episode about, man?
Oh well, I was going to get to that.
Oh shit! Well, by all means.
It was episode 257, and our first and only topic of the night will be the second season of Star Trek Picard, or what I like to call Picard Contact. Slash, we had to keep the budget down for this one, or because the COVID protocols necessitated it.
Oh shit!
So. But guys, anything as I saunter over? Hold on. I have something. Yes, I know people have been probably watching. The financial markets are going, kind of crazy. But it looks like we've got some news from the MAHQ news desk from the financial side. So, Chris, do you know what that's all about?
Yeah. So I got some numbers we can actually talk about for once, because a lot of Japanese companies, their fiscal year runs from April to March. Don't know why, but that's how they do it. So our friends at BAMCO have put out numbers for the 2022 fiscal year.
Oh, interesting.
Nice.
So what's interesting is, and you can look this up. It's in English. They have on their website, they have a sales financial highlights document that breaks things down by IP. At the major IPs.
Wow.
So last year, Gundam collectively, this is model kits, games, Blu-rays, any kind of merchandise, everything, it brought in 101.7 billion yen.
Wow.
That's about 107 million US dollars or something like that.
I'm not gonna do the conversion, so y'all can figure that out.
Because I think it's basically like 1 yen or 1,000 yen is like $1, I think, or probably a little less than $1. Okay.
Right now, the conversion rate's not so great for Japan. So from what I saw earlier today, it was 128 yen is $1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're probably talking hundreds of millions of dollars. That's still a lot of money.
That's still a lot of money, because
it's still a lot of revenue.
Here's the rest of the news. So Gundam or Bandai made more money last year than Kamen Rider, Naruto, and One Piece combined.
Oh,
Are you
shit.
kidding me? Wow.
Wow.
The only thing, this is a big surprise,
Yeah.
that outgrossed Gundam was Dragon Ball.
I was going to ask.
That brought in 127.6 billion yen.
Yeah, Dragon Ball has like a lot of irons in the fire, though, much like Gundam does. But Dragon Ball has like all these mobile games and products, and of course, even though they don't have a show in the air right now, and they got a movie coming out soon, they still manage. They got like an active manga, but still, Dragon Ball has been a moneymaker since '84. So, man.
Yeah. Also, interestingly, their forecast for the next fiscal year, 23, that just started, they expect that Gundam alone will bring in 119 billion yen over this next year.
God damn.
I'd also add, they do break it down just toys. So this includes model kits. The toys of Gundam alone last year were 44.2 billion yen.
Wow. You know, I got
the toys, not the model kits. The toys.
I've got toys and model kits. Yeah, that includes that. That's all in that category.
I've got the calculations fresh from Google. 119 billion yen is $921 million. God damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
God. Woo.
And just because I'm thorough like that, I also pulled up...
Oh, damn it. Don't do that, Chris. Thoroughness is not a Lord King trait.
It goes against Lord King's...
Damn it. Damn it.
Trait.
Yo, strip him of his suspenders.
Blasphemer. I'll do, what was that thing in the Game of Thrones? Shame. Shame.
So, out of curiosity, because their archives go. So, out of curiosity, because their archives go back quite a bit, I pulled up the same document for 2012 to compare to a full decade ago. So this is when age would have still been the new hotness. So for the 2012 fiscal year, Gundam as a whole brought in 44.7 billion yen.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
And the toy breakout of that year was 15.6 billion yen. So you compare that to 2022, huge difference.
Yeah, definitely.
So contrary to what people who don't know what they're talking about are always saying, Gundam is not dying.
No, it just seems
Actually
like it's
seems to
bigger.
be quite the opposite. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So here's some actual facts to back things up and to dispel the nonsense that people like to spread.
It's a merchandise gold mine, man. It has been.
Well, something has to be funny in Doan's Island movie.
There you go. Exactly.
I mean, you do realize
the pure opulence of Doan's Island.
Yes, exactly. The fact that a movie's being made about an episode that doesn't see the light of day outside of Japan, it has been paid somewhere. So definitely, toy sales are up, man. Business is good.
Nobody would be making Doan's Island if business was bad.
No, that's the first rule of acquisition. Actually, no, I think that's not the first rule. It's the 212th rule of acquisition is you wouldn't make Doan's Island if business is bad. Wow, that's amazing, man. Holy God. Yeah. It boggles my mind when you're saying it was what, One Piece, Kamen Rider, and Naruto combined?
Combined. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing. Because
that is insane. Because One Piece alone is pretty formidable, man. I mean, that show's been running strong for 2 fucking decades.
Naruto merchandise. Yeah. I see that all over the place.
No doubt, man.
Yikes.
Naruto, in a sense, is still running too with Boruto. So, those are active damn series as well, and they are. Wow. They're not making. They are getting their asses whipped. I mean, at the end of the day, Bandai's getting all the money, so it don't matter. So they make money off of One Piece. They make money off of Naruto. They're making bank regardless. But just from Gundam alone, that's super impressive.
As a side note, I think this is kind of interesting in the tokusatsu area, which I know there's lots of fans of around here. Not really my thing. The most profitable out of those is Kamen Rider, which last year brought in almost 30 billion in sales. By comparison, Ultraman 16.8 and Super Sentai only 5 billion yen.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
God, you went on Twitter, you think that'd be reversed. Because people are all about Kamen Rider and Ultraman, and okay, jeez.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Kamen Rider, big money.
Man,
Bug
Chris,
Dude's big money. Super Sentai, not so much.
Yeah.
It definitely puts things into perspective, man.
That's the numbers will do that, man. It's amazing how that sometimes will just pop the opinion balloon. It's like, oh, Gundam sucks, nobody's buying it. It's like, well, record profits, record revenue. Remember when there were 14 shows on? Yeah, it didn't sell as much as we're selling now with like no shows on. So maybe that's the key. Wow, that's awesome. Any other numbers there, Chris, for us from the financial desk?
That's it for now.
All right, cool. All right, so yes, we're going over to the Larry King Memorial News Studios for some news, listener submitted news.
Shit.
And if you ever have any articles, you could always, you're first going to have to fight Rodimus 76 to post. So, second, so you just go to the News Listener Submitted News Articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha Talk forum. Oh man, the first one here, I think we had mentioned this last episode, but I think this is an update. But it looks like the Gundam factory Yokohama is going to be closed from May 9th. Actually, it's closed now to July 15th for the moving Gundam maintenance.
Oh.
So it looks like they're gonna. Yeah, that's right. They're going to be moving the statue or whatever it is. So it's not permanent because it's going to take some hits. So of course that's from Rodimus 76, and but it says it will be taking steps forward until May 31st.
Oh, not bad.
So it's still going to be kind of doing that, but I guess you can't go and really visit it or anything like that. And of course, the article states there are no Gundam statues erected in North America. Damn it, there should be. And and it says here that Netflix is currently working on the live adaptation that will be hitting the stream service in the future. I wonder if that's still going on with the down revenue of Netflix.
That is a factor at this point, man. Especially since the stockholders are, I guess they believe they were lied to, so they're taking up legal action against the company. I don't know how long legs that'll have, but I know that that is definitely a thing, and Netflix is got a hole to dig itself out of.
It was bound to happen when you spend money like drunken sailors and just put up. I mean, there was a point where I understood the Netflix philosophy is we'll just do quantity and hopefully something hits, but then it's like you're on a subscription model that basically just gives you you have to grow to get your revenue to go up. That's either that or you just increase the cost. But wow. So, but thank you, Mr. Rodimus 76. Oh, Rodimus 76 comes back with another post here.
Oh yeah.
Chris, I know you're waiting for this. The Get Stack 2045 Season 2. You probably want to know the release date, right?
Oh boy.
You're definitely waiting for that?
I can't get enough of the Gits sack.
The Gits sack.
Yeah, and we got cast, plot, and much more. And this is coming from Rodimus 76 here. So it looks like it's the second season. Oh, this month, man, May 23rd. Circle your calendars.
Oh shit.
So yeah, and it's gonna be 30-minute episodes, and it's gonna be it's gonna be set. The plot's this. It's going to be set in the disaster and economy, which known as the simultaneous global default. Mm-hmm. That's what the original one was, though. Season 1 was, I think, too, right? Destroyed half the values, form of paper, also electronic currency, known as the Big Four. Foxy.
Somebody's vocal.
Yeah. Pay attention to me. But the official fourth member. So, of course, the Get Sack gang has to save the world for all that. So Section 9 is going to come in there and save the world from the crisis and blah, blah, blah. So, so Chris, you got your calendar circled. You're ready to go. All the reminders in your phone, on your calendar updates. It's all there, right? Right?
Absorb the Get Sack.
Yeah, there you go.
Man, I haven't watched the first season in English yet. Remember when we reviewed it, there was only a Japanese language track, and they were working on the dub version at the time. I gotta run back the first season in English to hear all the old voices.
No, we don't.
Movie that you can do instead.
Oh, they have a compilation movie of it? Oh, that's great. Even better.
Just recently added to Netflix.
Oh, thank Christ.
Awesome. That is awesome. So, Anonymous 76 comes back with another. I feel like I'm in competition with my dog right now.
Oh, no,
who can be louder in this room?
Yo, that chew toy though.
So, it's a squeaky ball.
Oh no.
So the problem is yes, my girlfriend she's in Seattle waiting to come back, and I think Foxy's just wanting some attention right now, even though she got some. But so sorry about that, everyone. But he gave us a link to thecider.com, and I guess they have a thing that says stream it or skip it. Pacific Rim the Black season 2 on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny because I think I did the first. I streamed it. I've already watched it all. I ended up watching it last night. I've been watching NBA playoff games, and that Golden State game was a blowout. So I was like, okay, let me just start watching this. And yeah, I watched all 7 episodes. So yeah, it's out there. Yeah, so I'm ready to go, man. So
yeah. Nice, nice.
But yeah, so that's it's centered on Haley and Taylor, 2 kids that are looking for their parents. Of course, they're in post-apocalyptic version of Australia, which isn't just Australia. That's just a normal day in Australia, right? Post-apocalyptic.
Pretty much, yeah.
Of course.
Cults and monsters. I mean, you see about all these stories about like all these hideous like spiders and creatures, like
drop bears.
That continent is a hellhole.
Yeah, but just ask Robin or Vornis.
It's unholy.
There's never been a pre-apocalyptic version of Australia. It's always been post-apocalyptic. I think it's where Earth put all the horrible things. It just said, we're just gonna put them in one. It's basically the real life version of Skull Island.
Nice.
So everything there will kill you. And even the Australians would probably agree with that. So, but yeah, so Pacific Rim, the Black is on there. It's season 2, continuing on from the story from season 1. But yeah, check it out.
Right on.
So next one here comes from Rodimus76. He basically has the no-hitter tonight. No one else could get up to bat on the news.
Oh yeah,
news tonight. So it's all Rodimus76. And he's got us some robot apocalypse news.
Nice.
And I don't know if this is necessarily news. It just was the inevitable thing that was supposed to happen. It says here that Amazon invested in robots to work alongside humans. Yeah, that's always been the plan there because robots can't pee or have have sleep or food.
Basic human human needs. Yeah, who needs those? Who fucking needs those? Fucking oh my god, these slave drivers. Work alongside humans. You mean replace them inevitably? That's the end game. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted, Amazon. We see you.
Well, and if Jeff Bezos ever goes and visits a factory, he needs somebody he can relate to. So he can't relate to humans.
Oh, man. Foxconn ain't got shit on Amazon. They still the fucking grand champions of this shit. Fuckers, man.
So, but yeah. So there you go. And then, Chris, I know you've got this marked on your calendar. This is, doesn't this always suck when something cool on your phone just goes away? But Rodimus76 has a thing here. It looks like the Macross smartphone deculture will close in June of 2022. So mark your calendar, Chris. You're no longer going to be able to do the in-game or the deculture service. So Yeah,
not
June
very
28th.
deculture.
It's not very deculture.
The opposite. Yo,
Same. And Ultima Macross is a mobile rhythm game that was available exclusively in Japan since August 3rd, 2017. So it's had a pretty nice life. So yeah, but looks like here the video games, blah blah blah, words. Now, and then they talk about Harmony Gold, Big West signing the historical agreement, which greenlit the global releases for the franchise movies and and sequels. We're still kind of waiting on those, aren't we? Did those happen yet, Chris?
There was, I forget which con it was recently, some slides talking about theatrical releases for the Frontier movies, but so far Big West has not officially made that announcement yet.
Okay, so that's still kind of vaporware then. So
Kind of taking their sweet time.
Yep, they are. So
It's 2022, guys. This is the 40th anniversary. Like, let's get something going here. Get your shit together.
Seriously.
Come on, man. Anniversaries, they don't mean anything, right? So
Oh no, apparently not. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Tell that to your wife.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
need to,
pretty
we
much.
don't need to celebrate this year, man. Fuck that.
Exactly.
See how quick that fucking ends. Man, but yeah, it's it sucks for the game. That's one of the biggest things I have with mobile gaming, man. These games close and end, and then they're gone. Especially if you get, attached to the game. Then again, I try not to play mobile games because they end up tapping into your wallet after a while, and I absolutely hate that shit. So, if it's a cool game that's free to play though, when it goes away, that's unfortunate. So.
Yeah, but isn't that the old bait and switch though? Anyways, free to play like that.
Yeah,
as soon as you hit free
wrong.
to play, it's like it's not free to play because eventually I'm just gonna hit the wall where I'm just gonna have to go to level 100 and I'm stuck at level 42.
I'm okay if it doesn't hinder progression. If the paid aspect doesn't hinder progression, that's fine. Like League of Legends or some other game, I don't play them, but I know that most of the stuff you buy in those games are cosmetic. So really, you could play the game all day long and not be held back based on the fact that you don't have any money in the game. But when it does require you to put money into the game in order to continue playing, that's when I fucking leave. I'm done. So I haven't had a game hook me since the Fire Emblem game that Nintendo put out like a couple years ago, and I only paid once or twice. It's like, no, I can't keep doing this. This was fun. I got to this level. Now it's tapering off. I just quit it cold turkey. So, but yeah, that's a shame.
Yep, it is a shame. But Chris, anything else? You're probably sad, right? You're gonna lose that game and. All right. Well, guys, you got any other news from MAHQ Talk or MAHQ? Any updates on the old conversion that you'd like to pass along?
We have passed the 3,000 page mark.
Ooh,
nice, good shit.
Wow.
Don't ask me how many are left because I got.
That would be something. 3,000 is actually a good number if you're a baseball player. If you had 3,000 hits.
Oh yeah, man.
So you could think of that. You're like a Hall of Fame baseball player at this point, Chris.
Cool.
So there you go.
Time marches on.
So, bro, any news? Any rants about backwards netcode or anything
No,
like
no. Rollback netcode and no.
Rollback netcode. Sorry.
Backwards. Yo. Anyway, on Twitter. Go ahead. The audio backlog needs to be uploaded. I had a bit of a family crisis over the last 2 weeks. I won't get into it here, but I'll tell you guys after the show what happened. But I have been barely home thanks to it, and because of that, I haven't done much. The one time I was home, outside of coming home to sleep, I was just unable to sleep, and I streamed because I did. I hadn't streamed. I streamed.
I streamed. I could have.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Well, there's one last thing of polish I have to do to the episodes, but other than that, I'm
not making the case.
No, I'm not. But when I explain it to you guys off the air, you'll understand. But anyway, The audio backlog is going up this week. I'm actually on vacation this week, starting today. So, if anything, so tomorrow I got a full day off, thank God. And I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Apologies for you guys waiting. Also, thanks to everybody who's watching the stream right now. If you haven't done it yet and you'd like to help support the stream, hit that thumbs up button here on the video. Also, hit the subscribe button if you like what you see. Over on Twitter, if you guys follow us on Twitter at Gundamn at MAHQ, hit the retweet button on the stream announcement here. I'll put the link into the chat for those that want to help the retweet that the show is on the air right now. Thank you guys for doing that. And other than that, man, I'll turn it back over to you guys for the subject.
Right. So, Chris, you want to give us a quick summary of Season 2 of Star Trek Picard? Or
Yes,
Picard,
and
Picard's Second Contact? Or
before we start, since this is not something that we normally talk about on this show, just want to put it out there that we will be talking about suicide. So if that is a sensitive topic for you, please take note of that and pop off when we get to that point. So I'm just putting that out there that will be coming up.
Oh, and by the way, I also want to say that we will be spoiling the crap out of Season 2. So if you haven't seen it and you want stuff to be kept secret, then you should probably just stop listening at this point and come back whenever the audio episodes go up. So,
wow. Or run back to archives on YouTube or Twitch. You can do that too. There you go. Done.
Do that too. But yeah, go ahead, Chris. Sorry. Yeah, that's true. That's that. There didn't one of the episodes have that at the beginning?
No, they didn't have any warnings at all. Although I know that
I thought it had
a
warning.
It's common these days to have that warning, but I did not recall seeing that.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Maybe it was one of these other shows.
The closest thing I saw to it is Will Wheaton. I think kind of gave an allusion to if anybody has any kind of trigger to it in the.
Are you saying Will Wheaton's in there?
I'm talking about the after show that they have on Paramount Plus. I don't think you watch, but the Ready Room, yeah, I think he warned people in those episodes. But if you're watching that show, you already watched the show, so it's not warnings needed. But anyway, go ahead.
What's the summary? The summary?
So we pick up a year and a half after the first season, and Picard is back in Starfleet as an admiral, kind of on very light duty, but still mostly retired. Raffi and Rios are also back in Starfleet, and Rios, having given La Serena to Seven, is now the captain of the new model Stargazer.
Nice.
And Elnor has joined Starfleet Academy as its first fully Romulan cadet.
Wow.
History.
Impressive. Yeah.
So Picard is pulled into action once again because there's a message that's directed to him of somebody who wants to join the Federation, but they'll only talk to him. He's out on the Stargazer, and the Borg show up with a very weird, non-typical looking Borg, not an atypical looking Borg ship. And Borg show up, and he ends up destroying the ship, but then wakes up instead on Earth in his chateau. But instead, it's a fascist hellhole version. Basically, the Confederation, a slightly different aesthetic version of the Terran Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
And
they were kind of like that, huh?
Find out that in this alternate timeline that the Confederation, which is entirely human-based, has subjugated and conquered all of the standard Alpha Quadrant species, and Picard himself was captain of a very evil-looking ship called the World Razor,
right?
And is known as the Borg Slayer for exterminating the Borg and bringing the Borg Queen to heel. So he gets a little visit from Q, who he has not seen since All Good Things. So from his perspective, it's been 30 years since he last saw Q. And Q's like, hey, we're gonna have some fun here, and this is your penance. And Picard's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So they find out from the half torso of the Borg Queen that Q changed history in 2024. So they launch a plot to at La Serena, and also in this horrible fascist timeline, Seven is the president of Earth and has no board parts. So basically, it's just normal ass Jerry Ryan for once. But her husband, a real fascist dickhead, and he ends up fatally shooting Elnor.
Man.
So they pull a Kirk, just like in the one with the whales. They go back to 2024.
The one with the whales.
They start investigating, trying to find out what's going on, and also why Q has done all of this. So we run through some side plots. Picard goes to Guinan's bar, which he previously visited in the 25th century, and had Whoopi Goldberg reprising the part. And he meets a younger version of her, who I have to stop here to nitpick about not what the show did, but all of the fan nitpicks that are completely nonsensical.
Oh boy.
Because all of these fans are like,
but she met him in the 1800s in the Times Arrow two-parter on Next Gen, so how come she doesn't remember him here, even though this takes place after that?
Use your damn brain. He is coming back from an alternate timeline where the Federation, Starfleet, never existed, and thus the events of Time's Arrow never happened. So that's why she doesn't know him in 2024 when they meet.
Yeah, a lot of people. It took a lot for people to actually put that map together.
It's really funny how Star Trek fans think that like they're so fucking smart and know everything about everything, and yet something so obvious flew over the heads of so many in their rush to like clear that something was wrong and that the writers don't know what they're doing.
And you should have saw how they attacked the writers too online. It's like, wow, they went right for them. I was like, damn, why would you figure shit out, man? Damn. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Anyway, so they're in 2024, which, at the time of our recording is 2 years in the future, but, they're not doing that much better than we are. They got sanctuary districts to round up all of the homeless and unemployed, just like S9. We're on the steady march to the complete collapse of society and World War III, which is a little further expanded upon in Strange New Worlds, but we're not going to talk about that right now. So they track everything down to an ancestor of ours named Renee, who is an astronaut who is going to be on a mission to the moon of Europa, and this mission not happening is a critical turning point, and Q, for his efforts, has recruited one very unethical scientist named Adam Soong, who is played by Brent Spiner, of course.
Of course.
Who has a whole stable of genetically engineered daughters that he's created, and big surprise, they look like Soji.
What a shock.
Which, gives her actress something to do this season, because Soji has one very small cameo in the first episode, and then presumably in the timeline change was wiped out of existence.
Wow.
So, Q makes him an offer he can't refuse, which is I'll help you deal with this sickness that your daughter has that you can't cure, but you got to help me derail this Europa mission and stop Picard. So antics ensue, including crashing up Agnes, the unfortunately mentally unstable cyberneticist from the first season, gets a little assimilated by the Borg Queen and starts acting really weird.
Definitely weird, yeah.
Yeah, and then runs off on her own. Picard gets run over by a Tesla, which I think is hilarious.
Wow. I didn't even realize it was a Tesla. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Soon was driving a Tesla.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's pretty appropriate. He probably had autopilot on, so of course it hit Picard. So.
And a rural operative named Talon, who is played by the same actress who plays her name.
Oh,
Laris,
Laris.
right?
Laris. You
Laris.
talking about Orla Brady?
Yeah. Yes. So looks exactly like Laris, but without Romulan ears, or is that the case? Has to go into Picard's mind to figure out why he won't wake up out of this coma that he's in. And she uncovers all of these dark childhood secrets of his, and he's trapped in his mind in a therapy session with some Starfleet dude who was totally not Julian Bashir, even though many people initially fell for the James Callis Alexander Siddig trap.
No way.
Yes.
Picard's dad was Gaius Baltar. I mean, this showed the link between Battlestar and Star Trek, right?
Oh
Chris?
my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is where he went after the.
Ron Moore is laughing right now.
I know. He should be.
All of this has happened before, and all of it will happen again.
He should.
exactly.
He should absolutely be.
Because his dad is Ghost Baltar. Wasn't that Ghost Baltar at the end of the last episode of Battlestar when they were walking through New York City? Yeah. So there you go. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, and his son becomes a skin job. So there you go.
And that's true. Yeah, he is a skin job. Yeah,
Skin job.
It's happened before. It'll happen again. So yeah. This is the beginning. I speculate because I know this because I'm going to go to Twitter and just post it that this is the start of the great Battlestar Galactica Star Trek crossover.
There you go.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So
I do find it funny though that people thought he was Bashir. Like
they do look very similar.
They're similar, but not that similar. Like
also the therapist version of him.
One guy's Middle Eastern, and one guy is just some.
They're both British. Also, the therapist version of character that James Callis was playing was wearing kind of a DS9 looking uniform.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the freaking blue medical division as Bashir, so I can understand the confusion.
Yeah.
Even though I knew from the first second, it's like, oh look, it's James Callis. Anyway, Talon uncovers these uncomfortable childhood memories of Picard, and it seems as though his dad is not a good dude, but she also sees that there's more to the story that she's not able to find out. So they get Picard back on his feet. They have to deal with Adam Soong, who leads a squad of orgified soldiers who have been assimilated partially, and an attack on the chateau. They repel the attack, and then they deal with Agnes, who has now fully assimilated and become the new Borg Queen, but keeps fighting against full control of the Borg Queen. And as Seven lays dying on the deck of La Sirena, Agnes makes an offer to the Borg Queen of, what if we made a different collective, one that wasn't based on coercion but cooperation, and finding basically like the rejects and the downtrodden and uplifting them if they want to join us. And the Borg Queen reluctantly agrees to that in exchange for La Sirena, and she does save Seven's life, which unfortunately involves her being re-injected with nanoprobes and all of her old residual Borg parts coming back, and her looking the way that she used to. So the Borg Queen skedaddles away in La Sirena, and then it comes down to the team to confront Adam Soong one last time and save the Europa mission, which they do, but unfortunately requires Talon to sacrifice herself. And we finally learn the true secret of these memories of Picard's childhood that have held him back in his life for so long, that have been buried, which is that his mother suffered from some mental illness and refused to get treatment for it, and her husband locked her up for her own safety, but she begged young Jean-Luc to let her out, and he unlocked the door. Then soon after that, she hung herself. He has carried that guilt with him for close to 90 years and buried those memories, and it turned into thinking that his father was an abusive man when in fact he was not. So having resolved those memories, having saved Renee, Q finally returns and basically sums up that this was all about teaching Picard a lesson to not die alone, to not die with these regrets, to not hold himself back any further. And he reveals that he is dying, and they have a very good conversation, and he uses the rest of his power to send them home, but not all, because Rios decides to stay in the past with the hot single mom doctor.
Oh boy.
and her little ratty son.
Mm-hmm.
And Q uses the extra energy saved from not having to transport Rios to bring Elnor back to life in the future, which is now fully restored, and we're back to where the season started. And Picard does not blow up the Stargazer because what he realizes is that this Borg queen that called out to him, that wanted to join the Federation, was not the Borg queen that he knew, but the Miss Girardi version from 400 years ago, who has built a new collective. And she says they've come to protect the Federation from some threat. Some rupture in space opens, and tons of energy pours out, but they're able to repel it and save billions of lives in that sector of space. And that is where the season ends, with a potential mystery to be solved in the third and final season.
Except the Excelsior almost screwed that up. They couldn't get their power. They couldn't get their shields. Was that the original Excelsior still? That thing was still in service?
No, I think it's the newer one.
It's a newer one?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't really look at it too closely, but I was like, damn, those things, because I remember in DS9, those things were like pumping close to like 100 years old.
Well, there's a new Excelsior 2 class in Picard, which is a fully new and modernized design.
I'll have to check that
Inspired
out.
by the old Excelsior.
Oh, because I love the Excelsior.
Yeah, me too, man.
It's still one of my favorite. I mean, the grand old lady's still always the Enterprise.
The grand old lady
is the Enterprise refit, but damn it, the Excelsior is just such a beautiful ship. And I was like, figures the Excelsior would screw this up.
Sweet.
At one point, I'm thinking, is the descendant of that dipshit captain that broke down in space dock? Is he the captain? That dumb captain. When they stole
We're gonna
it.
get everything on Tuesday.
Yeah. So, but all right. So, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, before we get into it, let's drop off the call and drop back in. Just want to refresh everybody's connections real quick. I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Intermission, guys. Now we're jumping back in. Bam. All right. We're back. Yes. All right.
All right.
So I got to go first, huh? All right. Here we go. This was not a perfect season for me, man. It was a mixed bag. It was a mixed.
I did not realize this was coming.
Oh my god, it was a legitimately a mixed bag. Overall, I did enjoy it, man. I did, and I don't want to be one of those cats online nitpicking every story detail. Well, this doesn't match up, and this and that. Just put it on the table, man.
Actually, my favorite gripe. That's when the Star Trek have to. Why do they have to have social issues on this? That's the one thing that's killing us. Why do they have to show the Department
Why do they
of
have to
Homeland
show
Security
ICE
and
as
and
bad
all
guys?
this?
Right?
Yeah, and it's like,
As
wait, have you ever watched Star Trek? It's all about social issues.
They still
commentary.
don't get it after all this time. You still gotta fucking spoon feed it to them. Anyway, it's fine. You know, I'll just put it on the table. Time travel is extremely hard to write. It really is. And you sometimes have to play fast and loose with it, which this show definitely fucking does. But I'll start with the pros first.
But it almost seems like a requirement of Star Trek now. Like there has to be either a season or at least an episode of time travel and something, because it's just like I don't know. Go ahead, Silver. I'll go into it when I have to talk about my stuff. Yeah,
you're good.
But yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, because time travel is kind of little
really hard, man. You can really screw it up. We've seen plenty of bad examples, man. I was actually hoping for more time travel in this, but I'll get to that in the cons. My first
you wanted the time heist, is what you wanted,
boy.
Right?
Oh, that would have been cool. But I know what they were under when it comes to shooting the show.
That's
so
ass.
I knew this is gonna be a bit more of a limited kind of production than they would probably have what they had with Picard season 1. But my first pro is, and this is something that most people saw coming, is the inclusion of the Watchers, which were brought into the original Star Trek series way back. For those who don't know, Gary 7 was a Watcher that Kirk's crew ran into when they traveled back in time to 1960s Earth. And that whole episode, Assignment Earth, was supposed to be a backdoor pilot for a series featuring Gary 7, who was a human that was, I guess he was raised by aliens in order to come to Earth in order to ensure that certain events take place and watch over the development of human beings on planet Earth to make sure that we don't destroy ourselves, which I guess he wasn't doing too good of a job going into the 21st century. But that work continued with other Watchers, and we meet Talon as a result. As a part of that, and I thought it was cool to bring back something all the way back from the original series into this. One of the cool things about this series, though, was young Guinan. I know that Whoopi Goldberg is also in this show, reprising her role as Guinan, but clearly they can't get a lot of mileage out of that besides her being in the regular timeline. So they found a young actress to play Guinan. And she really did a good job. At first, she came off a little bit militant, but by the second episode she appeared in, she was, she was fantastic, man. And I really enjoyed her. I hope to see her, hopefully in Strange New Worlds. If the character Guinan has to continue, maybe making a guest appearance in Strange New Worlds down the road would be an interesting thing to see. And she would definitely be the actress to play her during that time. Her name is Ito I can't say her last name. Agare. Forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong.
Don't mangle the name.
She was mad cool though, and I really appreciated her performance. My next pro though is Agnes Jurati. Man, in season 1, I was middle of the road on the character, but in this season, she really grew into a character that I enjoyed. They took kind of the traumatic past of hers, some of which we saw in season 1, and they capitalized upon it with her combined story with the Borg Queen, which was expertly played as well. Annie Wersching did a really good job, and Allison Pill knocked it out the park. I've always liked Allison ever since I saw her in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and she's always a delight to see in other movies like Snowpiercer.
Newsroom.
No.
No. That show doesn't exist.
The failings of that show were definitely not on Allison Pill, but she was fantastic in this, and she really stole the show when she had that one song number in that episode. It was I still don't understand how the spotlight worked when it turned out the power. But fuck it.
Look, if you're a theater guy, you're ready to shine a light whenever you need to. You don't ask any questions.
I guess the man had a lighter and a magnifying glass and got to work. Good shit,
dude. Don't be one of them people, man.
Good shit.
It's just a fucking spotlight. It's a spotlight.
It's cool. It's This is one of those things I like to make fun of.
We ain't talking about spotlights, bro. We ain't doing it.
Forgive me. It doesn't ruin the show for me. I just have to point shit out, man. The new Borg, which Agnes's evolution eventually gives birth to the new Borg and their Georgia O'Keeffe Borg ship. So I thought that was a nice development, man. And now we got Borg in the Federation. So I wonder how that's going to play out for future installments of Star Trek. So that's going to be fascinating.
So it means the writers have to come up with a new baddie.
Yeah.
Because at this point, what? The Romulans are in it, the Klingons are in it, the Borg are in it. Are the Cardassians in it at this point? Are they in Starfleet or are they still... So yeah, the writers are gonna have to come up with a new baddie.
Yeah, I suppose they are.
I guess they just ran out of ideas with the Borg, and it was probably needed in the end because you can't go through so many times of like, oh no, here comes the Borg, but somehow we defeat them.
Yeah.
I also know that, like, canonically, the Borg as we knew them are gone because Janeway fucked them up real bad.
Yeah, she did.
Too, yeah,
she absolutely did.
Yeah.
So they were never going to be again what they once were.
Which is why the Borg Queen was in the position that she was in. So yeah, man. If anything, the new Borg is a fascinating prospect. This time, not taking the best of different species, but the people who are willing to become members of the Borg. So I wonder if they're going to have some kind of semblance of individuality and a volunteer motive to join the collective consciousness when they feel. It's going to be an interesting thing to dive into in later shows.
Well,
so
hopefully they don't have an internal conflict where you have the Borg hardliners that still want to stay part of the collective. We want to make the Borg great again.
Boy, my God,
make the collective great again,
man. Q as a whole, man. John Delancey really brought it this season, man. The few episodes that we got him in, it's always a treat to see John Delancey, whether it be this show or the original series or even Breaking Bad. You know, his brief appearance in that was devastating. So, but John Delancey, he brought it, especially towards the end with the finale and how sentimental that was. It actually moved me. It moved me quite a bit, almost as much as end of season 1 with Picard and Data. So I had a feeling we were going to get a similar thing with Q, especially when you find out what his fate is growing to be. And to find out what his motives are, this whole thing was just like one last hurrah for Picard, so that he could kind of close the last door of something that's been holding him back for years. I thought it was a nice gift that he gave him, even though it definitely cost some lives along the way.
You gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it that the whole continuum is dying, or is it just him? I'm assuming it's just him.
Well, here's the thing about that.
Yeah.
So, do you recall in season 4 of Discovery, and they're trying to figure out like who was the cause of the DMA, and they're running through the list of the usual suspects?
Yeah.
They make a mention that they haven't heard anything from the Q continuum in like 600 years or so.
Oh shit!
So I had a thought, because Q dying, like it definitely made me think quite a lot about the ending of The Good Place.
Yeah.
And here's my thought. What if the entire Q continuum decided they were tired of their infinite lives and they all set in motion a process that would drain them of their power and eventually kill them?
So that episode of Voyager where the one Q wanted to commit suicide had such profound effect on the whole... Wow, that's amazing. That's crazy, man. That makes you think. It really does. But shout outs to John Delancey, man. It was a pleasure seeing him again, and him coming back the few times that he did in this series. And apparently he might be making a brief appearance in season 3. That's what the rumor mill has to say. Time is a flat circle, apparently. The whole thing about the skeleton key and that Picard decided to close the loop at the end, I thought was a neat touch, despite the fact that that key has such ramifications on his life. The fact that he put it back just shows the kind of man he is. And it's an unfortunate thing that happened to his mother, but he grew as a person, and it was fascinating to see. There was some inspired casting this season. Leah Thompson being involved, first of all, was fantastic. She directed episodes 3 and 4, and for those who don't know, Leah Thompson played Marty McFly's mom in the Back to the Future trilogy. So she got to direct the episodes dealing with time travel in this season.
Who the hell doesn't know that Who the hell doesn't know that Leah Thompson is in Back to the Future?
Oh, boomers our age. We know.
That's one of the. But okay, look. Back to the Future is like a cornerstone of pop culture.
Oh, I feel you, but
Yeah,
you would not be surprised. Some motherfuckers just don't know shit. They pay attention to their narrow line.
That's one of the that movie's.
We don't care about those people.
Yeah, that movie's the one. That's one of the few movies that's like cross generational.
It should be, and I would hope it would be.
It's not that it should be. It is. Like there are people. Everybody knows the about Back to the Future.
Hey man, I've met a person who has never seen the trilogy, so it scared me too.
The trilogy, or did they see any of the movies?
I'm talking the Back to the Future trilogy. I'm just saying that. And
No,
not
I know,
even
but
seeing,
did
not
they
even the
see
one.
any of the movies?
None of them. Not a one. Not a one. But
they're just being contrarian.
Yeah, I that's what I said to them. So it is what it is. But I love the fact she's been directing for a while now, and the fact that they got her onto this project is a fantastic thing. I hope she gets to direct at least an episode or two in season 3 as well. And for her to appear in the fifth episode, which was directed by Jonathan Frakes. He directed 2 episodes 5 and 6 as well. So Frakes has been a regular director of Star Trek since The Next Generation. So I'm glad he got to be involved in this project, even though Riker wasn't on the screen. But we'll get to Riker later on. A couple of other interesting bits of casting. Jay Carnes, who all three of us are big fans of The Shield, so we all know Jay Carnes for playing Dutch on The Shield. But he was also in an episode of Voyager back in the day. He played Lieutenant Duquesne, who was on board I guess a time travel policing facet of the Federation. From the 29th
I got
century.
big problems with him being cast.
Me too, and that's a negative. That's
I
what
big
huge
problems with that.
I do too. He was playing an Agent Wells. Get it, Agent Wells in this. One of my biggest negatives that I'll get into is that the whole episode was a waste of fucking time. But it was cool to see him come back, and I thought that there might have been some kind of tie to that episode of Voyager, but the most we could probably say is he's just an ancestor of Duquesne. Probably not.
He's just a low rent fox molder.
That's what I'm saying. That's pretty much ultimately what he amounts to. April Grace also was in the first or second episode of this season. The first episode, she played Admiral Whitley, but a lot of you guys probably remember her as Technician Hubble from TNG, and she also made an appearance on DS9 as well. She was one of the technicians.
Oh yeah, Technician Hubble. I love that character.
Yeah, she was cool, man. I had a bit of a crush on April Grace back in the day. So I'm not for me.
Technician Hubble.
She kind of took more prominence after Chief O'Brien left the show to go to Deep Space Nine. So she was running the transporter room a lot in the latter seasons of Next Gen. So if you didn't notice her, you didn't notice her. But I could not notice April Grace. I have a thing for her. So to see her come back and play an admiral, talking to Jean-Luc Picard, I thought it was super cool. They brought her back. They brought back Marcelo Tubert as Mr. Alvarez. He was Acosta Jarrett in the episode Devil's Due in TNG as well. I recognized him immediately when I saw him. It's like, yo, they just get these bit actors to come back and play other roles. And a fun appearance by the father of Issa Briones, who plays Soji. John Briones played the first magistrate, which is the husband of Seven in that alternate universe. So that guy, her husband, the one that ends up shooting Elnor. That's actually in real life, that's Soji's dad. So that was super cool. But the Confederation was a cool concept, and learning about Picard's family history was pretty cool, especially when you find out that his family kind of migrated to England. So it kind of explains the whole English backstory of why a guy who's supposed to be a Frenchman comes off as an Englishman. So that was super neat. Other than that, those are my pros. The cons, and you guys can come in on these. Such little use of certain actors in this, like Rios. Rios's role got super diminished in this, and I don't know if he was filming something else at the time, so they had to kind of roll back. But if you recall, in season 1,
he was filming
the flight attendant. Yeah, that's what I heard, and that's another reason why he couldn't be on season 3.
He was the boyfriend.
Yeah,
he was the boyfriend for a little bit.
That's what I found out. So I think that's the reason why they rolled back his character, because if you recall in season 1, he played a bunch of different holograms of himself, and I know that's got to be time consuming to film all that shit. So so they got rid of that real fast. Elnor, though, I don't understand that shit. I guess they killed him off, but I thought they would find a better way to bring him back, besides him being a hologram towards the end of the show. But Issa Briones, who was like one of the main characters, who played one of the main characters in season 1, kind of got reduced to a bit character here. Like all the young people got kind of diminished. It was looking like after 7 and Raffi too, but they kind of had more relevance as the season moved along. So that was good to see. But let's get to Agent Wells and fucking Lieutenant Duquesne and all that Carbon Creek bullshit. He was basically playing a version of Dutch and Fox Mulder put together, man. And it just annoyed me that whole episode was just bullshit. You could cut the whole episode out of the run of episodes, and it doesn't really matter too much. It was just more of a distraction, really. And
on the one hand, it's cool that they tied something back to Enterprise with the the undercover Vulcan survey missions of
Carbon Creek,
Old Earth.
Yeah,
Carbon Creek. Yeah, so that's cool that they did that. But overall, the episode, it was a waste of time. And then also you have Jay Karn that's like, wait a second, I know that he was on Voyager in a fucking time travel episode, and you have him show up playing someone named Agent Wells. He served in a Wells-class time ship on Voyager in a season that is all about time travel. And you're just gonna red herring me with that shit?
Right? Yeah, when they said that he was cast, it's like, yo, that's a cool tie in to Voyager, man. I certainly hope he has some connection to that character, like an actual established connection, or it's actually him coming back in time to find out what the fuck is going on with these people being out of their timeline. That would have been interesting, but they decided to just not go with that and instead just make him some schlubby fucking FBI agent.
Low rent Mulder.
Yeah, man. It's like, what?
Dutch Mulder.
Absolutely. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, he was.
Shout outs to Jay. I love him in everything he's in, but that was a waste.
Yeah, he's great. He's great in everything, but it was just a waste of his talents.
Absolutely, man.
And of a potential connection.
Boy, all the homages to Part 4, man. They were cute at first, but they started to get on my last nerves. The fucking bus pump. People like to complain about the Times Arrow thing, but my question is, how does Buspunk have a memory of being Vulcan pinched if time has changed so much that the Federation didn't exist for Captain Kirk to go back in time? It's a mindfuck, and that's why time travel's so hard to write. But apparently, he still had that experience with Kirk and Spock, so fuck it.
Maybe he just got beat up by somebody else for playing his shit too loud.
That could be.
Maybe the Confederation of the 23rd century was threatened by the probe, and a bad Kirk came back in time with a bad Spock.
Yeah.
Oh, goateed Spock. It's got to be goateed.
A goateed slave Spock as his subordinate, and Punk got pinched. But you know what? At the end of the day, like, it's 5 seconds. Like, who fucking cares?
Yeah, it's
just
true.
a thing to be there.
It is nitpicking.
Out of so many things that are wrong in this season.
Oh boy,
that's the least of them.
Yo, but it does play fast and loose with time travel, as I mentioned before. They hang lampshades every goddamn where. With the bus punk and Picard's mom. One of the biggest things about this season that bothered me a bit, and they just fix it with, well, let me not say fix it, but they try to cover it up with one line about Picard imagining what his mom would look like at an old age. I didn't get that impression when I watched that episode of Next Gen way back in the day, and they didn't really explain it either, so it's, I guess, in my theater of the mind, but Picard's mom's ultimate fate, of course, is unfortunate, and she died young, but you see in an episode of Next Gen as an old woman. And I was wondering the whole time, it's like, well, how, she doesn't look like she's fated to live very long. So how did she end up an old woman? And then find out, oh, she didn't. And that particular instinct was just Picard with hopes and dreams, basically, when he was seeing the hallucination of his mom. What are y'all thoughts about that?
Here's the thing about that.
Yeah.
So I went back and I watched that scene.
Yeah.
And the entire time that's it's a short scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it only lasts a minute or two.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart plays that scene with like a very palpable level of sadness
Yeah.
when he sees her, and this is a rare emotional display because this is season 1 Picard.
Yeah.
He's a very stiff,
Oh, boy.
unlikable hard ass.
Boy.
And you see this emotional vulnerability from him.
Mm-hmm.
And when he turns his head for a second, when Riker calls to him,
And she's
then he
gone.
turns it back and she's gone, like you can see a very palpable sadness.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think that plays well. Now keep in mind,
Mm-hmm.
that episode, that episode when they were in that weird galaxy where the laws of physics don't work, it's showing you what you desire, what you think of in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like your time travel. It's not like it's showing you an exact representation of reality because he also, set up a turbo lift into space. At one point. So it's not. It's a realm of the mind given form. It's not any objective reality. So her being there as an old woman when she actually died young, I don't think is at all inconsistent. Consider also in Generations when Picard ends up in the Nexus, which also gives you what you desire and brings it to life.
Yeah.
What did he imagine?
I forget.
He imagined a fake family and his nephew being alive, celebrating Christmas.
Yeah,
so clearly, like, family is a very sensitive subject for Picard, even from what we knew in Next Gen. If you piece it all together, plus Brothers has tons of information about his family and his rough relationship with his brother. So if you piece all of these elements together, I think it actually all does fit.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Go ahead.
I think, I think so too. I mean, the whole thing I get about it, Chris is right. There's lots of things you can nitpick and all that, but the one thing I got with the whole thing with Picard is it's just his regret with his mom and his yearning to have a quote unquote normal family or a family like other people.
Yeah.
Because he never really had one. He has this issue with his mom, which is kind of interesting because you think about it. You think about like how bad was her mental condition. I mean, they're in the future. You would think that there would have been ways of at least controlling this or curing this.
I'm sure there are, but she refused to get any help.
True. Yeah. That's true too. So, I didn't have too much of an issue with that because I always felt that a lot of the things you're seeing with him is his version, it's all through his rose-colored glasses of what he wanted or what he remembers the most of his mom and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and even his father.
His father also was a fabulous head of hair now.
Yeah. Also, if you're thinking about, the whole thing of like the start of the season with, the fact that he won't let anybody in and that he keeps this barrier around himself and that Laris is like, tired of his bullshit. Look at Picard's life as we see it on TNG. Yeah, he has a good amount of romantic dalliances with people like Vash and whatnot, but does that ever turn into a lasting relationship?
No.
The
longest.
What do we find out about him? What do we find out about him? That he was in love with Beverly for many years and felt enormously guilty. One, that he fell in love with his best friend's wife, and two, that he sent his best friend on the mission that killed him.
Yep, that kind of ruined any chance he had for himself to go into any kind of relationship with her. But
then you see All Good Things, an alternate glimpse of a life that he could have had, and he got with Beverly, but they're divorced.
Yeah.
And he's alone.
Yeah.
So clearly Picard is a solitary figure who is unable to make those deep emotional connections. And they talk about that in season 1 when he has that conversation with Data.
Yeah.
About, that they were similar in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's showing the dichotomy of a guy that's so great at his job. I mean, he's able to command starships, make these decisions, but part of the reason why he's so good at it is he can't always have that emotional attachment, and because to do like what Chris said. Sometimes you're going to send people out on something that's going to kill them. And, you know, that goes, what makes him great at that makes him horrible in his personal life. He can never have the happiness. So
yeah, he kind of his own worst enemy in that front. But speaking of family, no Robert Picard. I guess he was at school, at some boarding school away or something like that. So
they do mention that, and people complain about this endlessly. And
yeah.
Let's keep in mind, even though it's stretched across the season, all of these flashbacks that we keep seeing are basically across the span of one day.
Yeah, that's
pretty much. Yeah,
exactly it. So
it's another example of people complaining about things that
without
are
the
addressed.
contact.
If they paid attention.
If they did pay attention, which people don't do. They just, they're up their own ass most of the time. One thing I did have a big problem with, though.
I think it's not even they're up on their own ass.
Yeah.
I think they're just there to try to show that they're smarter than everybody and try to nitpick stuff.
Yeah,
I think some people, you know, not to cut into Sobros anymore, but I think some people are so eager to look for the faults that they're in that nitpicking mode. And because they're doing that, fail to adequately pay attention and thus understand the thing they're trying to nitpick.
Exactly. That's a fucking great point.
Because the story is done in a way that they would not have done it. They wanted it done in a certain way, but it was done in another way. So, of course, they have to sit there and break it down.
True. I'll blow through the last of these real quick. No Borg in Starfleet. Ichib was in Starfleet. That whole story with 709 kind of drove me nuts, because the first thing I think of is that the young Borg that she befriended and brought on board the Voyager, he ended up going into Starfleet and then getting killed by someone. So it's like, did they just completely forget that happened?
Honestly, not. And you know, your word choice is getting close to some of these fans, and you know, these writers don't do anything. But here's the thing.
Okay, go ahead.
It's time travel.
Icheb assimilated as a child and never fully matured, and he was deborged and transitioned back to normal life with relative ease.
Okay.
Yeah.
7 was assimilated as a child, but spent much of her early life as a Borg, had to basically learn how to be a human entirely, has significant amounts of Borg technology in her, and I feel like we know that there's a stigma against the XBs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
true.
even
That's
see
true.
this as far back as First Contact, when Starfleet keeps Picard away from the battle with the Borg, and he's like, fuck this, I'm going to go anyway.
Yeah.
So clearly Starfleet has a distrust of people who... And I think just the fact... Think of it as like someone who's in a cult for a couple of years versus someone who was raised in a cult. Who are you going to trust more? Who do you think is going to be easier to de-brainwash?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. And I'm glad we're having this back and forth, because I bring this shit up, you knock it right the fuck down, we're good to go. Because these are questions that people are like leaning hard into, and for me, it's just things I noticed, right? So I like to ask questions. So for me, it's not that fucking big of a deal, but at the same time, I want to ask these questions because I didn't feel like it was like completely, and you don't have to make it clear. I watched Better Call Saul where they don't explain shit. You have to remember shit from like 5-10 episodes ago of something that happens, and they don't explain nothing to you in that. So watching this show, it just seemed to me like it just didn't come across as smoothly, but it's fine. I like the backstory because it kind of gave her a second chance to become a captain, which I thought was super dope when he gives her a field commission at the end of the series. So I thought that was fantastic. But other than that, the off-screen death of Shaban,
they did him dirty just to set up the whole thing of Picard's stunted emotions. It's like, man, he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve to get done dirty like that.
He did not. And other than that, I'm gonna turn it back over to you guys. But yeah, I mean, overall, my thoughts is like it wasn't as enjoyable as say season 1, and I had my issues with season 1. But this was like maybe half a point lower because of just some of the there were more valleys than there were peaks for me. But I still had fun with it. And back to you guys.
So, Chris, what are some of your thoughts?
So overall, I enjoyed it a lot despite its flaws. Like, I think the biggest issue in the comparison between the two seasons is season 1 had like one main storyline, and this one is juggling multiple storylines of trying to fix the timeline, digging into Picard's trauma, Q's whole thing, side plot of Rios and what's going on with him, the Dutch Mulder, Adam Sung and his growable daughters, his Chia Pet daughters, like all this. Like season 2 is juggling a lot more balls, and like some of them are left dangling in the air longer than you expect. Like we go long stretches without Adam Sung, we go long stretches without Q. So I feel like things could have been reorganized. Some things could have been dropped. I don't know that we needed to spend a whole episode in Picard's head and covering the trauma. I mean, the performances are all great by everybody. Maybe just, I don't know, since we live in the world of COVID, the story may have had to have been shaped by those kind of considerations of who's available and who we got to keep together and who has to be separate. I know other shows that have been affected by COVID in that exact way and have had to like change their storylines because of this. So, I'll chalk it up at least partly to that. Some stuff just did not come together for me. Like, I don't understand how Europa mission failing and Adam Sung developing these drone shields for Earth leads to the Confederation.
Yeah.
I never quite got that connection. Like, think of a time travel episode like Sitting Into Forever. Like, okay, so Edith Keeler lives. She becomes a big pacifist. She convinces FDR to not join World War II. The U.S. loses World War II to the Nazis. Therefore, no Federation.
Yes.
I can follow that path very easily.
There's math there.
I don't see how we get from Adam Sung energy shields to human empire that exterminates alien races. I just don't see the connection.
Because he's still going to go on to do genetic manipulation in order to bring about the eugenics wars. So he's still going to be a problem. But go ahead, Neil. I'm sorry.
No, that was kind of my issue with it. Is like, I don't mind the time travel, but it felt like there was too much going on there. Because it seems like when you do time travel episodes or stories, it makes sense if it's just one singular thing, first contact. Okay, their whole thing is to keep Zephyr and Cochrane from meeting the Vulcans. Okay, I get that. Like Chris said, City of Edge. But yeah, there was a lot going on there, and I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on.
And as much as I like Brent Spiner in anything, especially when he plays an asshole.
Oh boy.
Don't know that ultimately Adam Sung was necessary at all for this series.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I feel like they kind of just were looking for something for him to play, and a role for Issa Briones since she doesn't have one otherwise, and Soji again presumably does not exist in that alternate timeline. So I feel like at the end of the day, those two characters were really not essential, and you could strip them out and have the same story. Was not a fan of how they did Zhaban dirty by killing him off screen.
Amen.
Just to try to put Laris and Picard together.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I also thought like it seems a little weird that Rene Picard is this astronaut who has these very visible struggles, mental health, and it just seems like there would be. I know that there's all sorts of screening and requirements to become an astronaut, and it would seem like someone with such major mental health issues like her would have washed out of that program long ago.
Exactly.
Would never have gotten to the point that she did. So that just seemed really off to me of that whole concept of what her problem was and how Q tried to gaslight her into quitting the mission, and then Picard convinced her. Just like I don't see how any space agency would let someone like that be on a space mission.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
I think they were trying to make some match there, like that this mental illness issues have plagued Picard's family or something like that, that some of them are hereditary. But yeah, you're right, because I was in the same way with that. I'm like, wait a second, there's no way if she was having this many problems, they would clear her to fly. I mean, if people, have sniffles, they'll not clear them to fly. But yet they're doing this. And once again, I think it was the point, it comes back to the point we were talking about earlier, where you're making the goal of the time travel goal that they're trying to achieve too complicated. It's just, okay, you just show Renee Picard, Adam Soong is trying to kill her. Just do it that way. Just don't do this whole thing of, oh, she's having all these mental breakdowns and can't take the stress of the simulator. So that was weird too. I think that was one of my big hangups. It just seems like we're putting too many things we had too many things going on at once, and it's like, okay, we're gonna build, but I see this in a lot of shows now where people they start to just build and build and build. It's like, okay, not everything's gonna happen at once, really, to people. So in reality, I know that maybe people think that's good television, but I don't know. Sometimes it just makes it very bizarre and kind of manic. So
yeah,
but have also seen some people complaining about that showing Picard's father to initially be presented as being abusive, and then being that no, it's just that the wife is crazy. That that kind of unintentionally pushes the sort of victim blaming idea of like, oh, you're not being abused, you're just crazy. Like, I don't think that was their intention, and I don't see it that way, because these are Picard's memories that have been distorted over time, and he's revisiting them 90 years later. But I can see how that is an issue in the way it was depicted. And, all of these criticisms, don't get me wrong, I still love the season. I still love all the performances. The last episode, all those scenes with John Delancey, I was ugly crying.
Me too.
And I'm not going to try to hide that. It was still an enjoyable season despite its flaws. And here's the thing. We talked about this before, but there's this expectation from people these days that everything has to be perfect or terrible.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground. Yeah. And, something can't just be good but flawed. Here's the thing. Human beings are not capable of creating anything perfect, because we are all by our nature flawed.
Imperfect, yes, absolutely.
So, the idea that every episode has to be top flight, every episode has to be absolutely perfect, every episode has to be so much better than the last. That's not sustainable. That's not possible. And let's not forget that, Next Gen was a very rough ride.
Oh, yeah.
In its first two seasons.
Boy,
the first two seasons of Next Gen, absolutely awful. And also less talked about, but very much true. They started to lose gas by the 7th season. There's a lot of stinkers in the 7th season, too. Like the fucking warp speed limit, and, Geordi's mom, and that stupid episode. And there's a lot of bad episode, and, Picard's fake son from that Daemon who wants to still get revenge on him. Like, there's a lot of bad episodes in season 7.
Well, but that's the problem, is people start to look as we get farther and farther away, and then you get it's our whole thing of
nostalgic
our whole joke of 00 season 2.
If Next Gen was airing right now, we were on season 1. It would be absolutely torn to shreds.
It would be, yeah.
If it came out now,
and deservedly. Deservedly so. Like, I can't imagine how many Twitter threads you'd have just on Code of Honor. That's neither here nor there. But I saw a very clickbaity review from IGN, of course, claiming that season 2 of Picard is one of the worst seasons of Star Trek ever made, even in comparison to season 1 of Next Gen. They specifically said that.
The fuck?
It's like, come on, y'all are just stupid.
Y'all just
another thing that annoyed me,
gas.
A lot of people did not like season 1 of Picard for many reasons. One of which that they complained about for 2 years straight was the copy paste fleet.
No doubt.
And they all lost their minds at all of the shit porn in episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
season 2, and they're all like, Star Trek is back, and this one episode is better than all of season 1, and everything's great, so much better than that old crap. And by the end of the season, they were like, man, I like season 1 more. So it's like, oh,
Wow.
okay, so just because you got your ship, you'll declare it the best thing ever. But then when it moves back to the stuff that you don't like, now it's garbage again.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah, I mean,
And suddenly the thing that you were previously shitting on is now good. So yes, it's the 00 season 2 effect, and it's just fucking tiresome. Like, can we also let stories play out before we start declaring that things are pointless or
the best ever. Yeah.
Or not part of the story. And here I'm veering into like the Halo series, which we're not going to get into right now, but it's like it's the same phenomenon. And it's like, let's not just assume that all writers are idiots and don't know what they're doing, because they're screenwriters for a reason and you're not.
Right.
You're just some loser fan who thinks that all of your dumb ideas are the best thing ever, but if anybody actually heard what you have to say, they'd laugh in your fucking face.
Yeah.
So let's try not to assume that every single thing we don't like is the writers are idiots, the writers don't know the franchise, the writers don't know what they're doing, they don't know how to tell a story, yada yada. When so much of fandom is very media illiterate.
Yeah. Very true. Very much.
Has no understanding of how things work.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Well said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to second a lot of the things that you guys brought up. I mean, I thought it was an enjoyable show. Now, I didn't think it was as strong as season 1. And I think Chris or Solbro, you mentioned about the COVID. I felt that probably did have an impact on it. You probably do have a situation there. I mean, the fact that we're just stuck in pretty much present day Los Angeles for a good bit of this, it's like, okay, they have to do this mainly because this is probably the only place they can do production right now. This is all that they have available. But I will say this, I will say the last episode really saved the entire season for me in the aspect of, I thought it went, I now look at it as just not just being good. I think it's more a little bit higher. Not very good, but if you had a step below between very good and good, I'd put it right there. I mean, I really felt that last episode really tied everything up, and I felt it was appropriate to give that thing with Q. I think you just get the closure with Q because, outside of the Borg, I mean, that's been Picard's #1 nemesis. No pun intended.
From the beginning.
Is Ben Q. I mean, how many times did he show up in Next Generation?
At least once or twice a season.
Yeah, and I mean, and showed up. God, he even showed up in Voyager. I mean, he only showed up in DS9 once.
Oh boy,
because Cisco ain't taking that shit.
I noticed that black people fuck Q up, man. Whether it be Raffi or Cisco, they don't play with that motherfucker. They say, yo, you need to leave.
Man, Cisco told his ass to get the hell out of here. Like, I'm not dealing with your crap.
Yeah, hit him with the Roy Jones.
Yeah, he's like, get out. But no, I felt that was I thought that was really good. I really think that the episode 10 is a very, very strong episode and probably the best of the entire season because it just, I mean, and they did the kind of epilogue right. I have to say that, where they kind of gave everybody their next thing and they gave them all equal time. And because sometimes they always force that, like in like the last 10 or 15 minutes of the episode, and it's always a rush job. But it felt like they kind of planned that out more. And you're right. I thought about that when you find out that Q was dying. I thought back because I actually saw that episode not too long ago, the Voyager episode with the Q member Continuum member that wanted to commit suicide, basically. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe something happened or whatever. But yeah, I think, some of my gripes on that is, yes, I felt there was too much going on. I felt the time travel story was too complicated. And then initially I felt like when the whole thing happened, when having them to go back in time, I'm like, wow, this is too much like First Contact a little bit. Like I'm getting those flashbacks, which I mean is good. I mean, that's not a bad flashback to have. But when it came to a situation of like all the stuff that they had to do, it just didn't. It was just too much. I mean, I felt that they could have just made it a little bit more simpler. But I think with what you guys mentioned when it comes to COVID and some of that stuff, maybe that had some of it in there. But yeah, the Confederation, that was an interesting take. I kind of like that. And I'm kind of glad they went that route instead of just dragging up the Terran Empire again. I mean, which is always good, but it does seem like that's kind of like the prerequisite now in every Star Trek show is to have a mirror universe episode or episodes.
Well, also the Terran Empire doesn't exist anymore by that point, so they couldn't, even if they wanted to.
Oh yeah, because that's the divergence, right?
That's the whole thing in DS9 that the formerly oppressed aliens rose up and then everything around and enslaved humanity.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then what is it? Discovery talks about the whole divergence of the Prime and the mirror universe where they just completely are away from each other. So yeah, it's but yeah, I like that though. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, the Dutch episode, I didn't get that. I mean, at first I'm like, oh, okay. But then when it was like too convenient where he's like, oh, it was cool that they related it back to that Enterprise episode, but still, it
just seemed like a pointless obstacle. And I think it's...
If you didn't have that episode, would the season be any different? Like if it was just 9 episodes instead of 10, would that have impacted the quality of the season? Well, overall, it might have bumped it up a little bit higher because then you wouldn't be complaining about this one episode. So
I think the best summary of what we're all saying is that there's too many storylines being juggled at the same time here, that 10 episodes simultaneously is too much, but also not enough.
Yeah. And then, my gripe earlier too about just the convenience of like the main characters, their ancestors or descendants always having some impact, and it's like they're the only people within that timeline. That was a little too much too, because I'm just like, okay, did you ever hear about Rene Picard before?
No, but they did. Picard did talk about how some of his ancestors were among the first humans to settle Mars. So
okay.
He does have spacefaring family as his background.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, it's basically, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, but then in some ways, I didn't think it was needed. It's like she could have just been anyone else, or just a very, the pivotal astronaut that does something, or she didn't have to be a Picard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think in some ways, it's just like, oh, she happens to be a Picard too. It's like, oh, really? I mean, it's just like, it was like, what was that Battlestar prequel where Adama's father was
Caprica?
was the lawyer that was the pivotal thing for the Cylons. I mean, it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. So
yes, it kind of does shrink the universe of just too many coincidences of too many people, and the Brent Spiner soon train left the station a long time ago, so I can't even hold that against this show, because we've already been through this song and dance before a long time ago.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't need this. I like Brent Spiner. I understand the Adam Sung part, in the universe of, in the canon of Star Trek, but I don't know if it was really needed to have him in this story. I felt it just kind of mucks it up, and I mean, after all this stuff, so yeah, it's it's just a little too much. But yeah, the biggest thing is just too many stories. I think for time travel stories, you have to keep it simple. You have to have a simple goal. Get the whale.
Get the whale.
Get the Infinity Stones. Get mom and dad to kiss at the under the sea ball. Those are the things that you have to do. So, but yeah. So, but yeah, that's basically it for me. I mean, I felt it was good. I mean, but it could have been better. But yeah, but I think you're right. I think COVID impacted this thing because I mean, let's be honest. Patrick Stewart's like almost a 90-year-old man. You're gonna have to have very close stats, or whatever he is. But still, he's an older man.
He did have a good ass week last week though, with between Doctor Strange and the finale of this show being at the same week.
Spoiler alert!
Hey man, he's all over the commercials, man. It's all right.
I know.
There's another cast member also had a good ass week last week too, but I'll refrain from saying anything about that guy. But it's pretty interesting, man. There's two nods I appreciated in this show. Tracy Torme got a huge shout out for the Dixon Hill novel making an appearance. Renee was reading The Pallid Sun, which is written by Tracy Torme.
That's something I have to. So, sorry, that goes into what you're just saying here.
Yeah,
that's another thing that I like too. I actually liked all the little nods that they had to previous Star Trek shows. I like the fact that you have the Gary Seven nod, and so it's one of those situations where I thought that was cool. I like the punk guy. I thought that was kind of cool. I'm like,
also have to mention Will Wheaton since we've avoided.
Yes, by all means, please.
Yeah. So
was it necessary? No, but it was nice to see him have a moment.
Yeah.
Completing this storyline of him being fully formed as the Traveler, especially after Nemesis did him dirty and cut him down to a silent cameo that basically was a total waste.
Absolutely. I don't know why they cut that moment out. They could have kept it, but I guess they were worried about runtime. But it is an unfortunate thing. But yeah, I was glad to see him too, and how they tied in the Travelers with the Watchers, basically in one fell swoop. So that was an interesting thing to see. But the other thing I dug a lot was there was a big nod to Ronald D. Moore, because Ronald Moore worked on the reboot of Battlestar Galactica. I felt that Girardi in the red dress and talking to the Borg Queen being in her head was a bit of a nod to Gaius Baltar talking with Caprica 6 throughout Battlestar Galactica. And also, of course, the inclusion of James Callis being in the show. Another, just to involve him is a nice involvement there, and a nice tie to Battlestar Galactica, even though it doesn't tie in the story. But that was pretty cool.
So we should probably do ratings, I imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, should. So Sobro, what are you gonna give it?
This barely gets across the line for me for being above average. So I would give it 3 tent cities filled with no rent Jesse Pinkmans out of 5. That guy tried to jack Raffi. he's just like a fake ass Jesse, man. But yeah, that's what I give it. I give it 3.
Chris?
So I did enjoy it a lot despite its flaws. There were drags, but I never felt that any episode was entirely a waste, even Dutch Mulder. Every episode had its moments. So overall, I gotta give this 4 ice bootlickers out of 5.
Nice.
Go. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Chris. I'm there's some stuff I'm pointing out, but in the end, I enjoyed it, and I think down the road I'll probably watch it again. And yeah, you're right. I mean, even with low rent Mulder. It would have. It was. It wasn't. It wasn't the greatest episode, but you know there were some good points in it, and I did think it was cool to see the nod to the Enterprise episode about the secret Vulcan mission, because you know Enterprise did its fair share of playing fast and loose with canon sometimes. It's like, oh, you thought this happened then? No, it really happened back this time.
Well, you know, Enterprise is beloved now, but when it was on air,
Ooh, it was hated,
this is hot
man.
trash.
Yeah.
It's not Star Trek. This is a betrayal. So
It
you
got
know,
shellacked.
all of this has happened. All of this has happened before, and all of it will happen again.
It sure will.
The Enterprise is small. They only got one guy. They only got one helmsman. They don't have a navigator. They don't have a, you know, it's like come on, man. There's only only 150 people on the Enterprise. So yeah, it was tiny. I mean, and
Yeah, it was.
Like, I mean, people were complaining about the uniforms. Oh, what's up with these uniforms? It looks like they're, you know, it's like, wait a second, isn't that the natural progression of going from, you know, military aircraft flight suits to what do you think you're going to wear?
Yeah, it just made sense to me. That absolutely made sense to me. And I actually, that's one of the best uniforms I think of Star Trek, just because it acknowledges the uniform of the past leading into the space program that got us to where we are in Enterprise. So I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Well, I'd probably have to give it, I'll have to give it, you know, 3.5 Rios
cigars,
Churchills. Yeah, out of 5. Yep. Nice. I mean, I love how he, you know, just my final thing is just the one thing I do like about this cast is they are the Isle of Misfit Starfleet people, because you can just tell, and even at Picard at this point, as celebrated as he was, I mean, just this point of his life, he's just not. He's not in line with what Starfleet's selling anymore. You know, so and the fact that it pains me because I was telling Solbro this, that I really was hoping that we would get the spin-off show of Captain Rios, but I guess we'll never get that. He just ended up being a good guy in the past, helping people with medical emergencies and stuff like that.
Until that bar fight. Woo!
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
he went all hard.
I know that. Yeah, that was kind of like, it was like, even Picard's like, yeah, it sounds appropriate that he called that way.
God damn it. You know, R.I.P. Rios, man. R.I.P. But yeah, man. Good episode, fellas. MAHQ.net. Just go there, and you'll find the links to everything else there. I'm not gonna drone on. Subscribe, hit the bell. Thank you very much for watching the show tonight. Back to you.
All right, and I guess we'll probably do season 3. From what I hear, season 3 is like almost getting wrapped up, right?
Yeah, man.
And
the whole
It's already done filming.
Okay, it's already done
next year.
The whole cast has come back from Next Gen, so at least the main 7 from Next Gen are all coming back for season 3. So I hope it's the best season yet, man.
Well,
I really do.
Isn't there 8 though? Isn't there a main 8?
There's 9 technically, and we might. I hope we get
Riker's beard is a character its own.
Well, that would make 10.
So, yeah, there you go.
I hope we do get a Denise Crosby cameo as her Romulan daughter. So hopefully we get that. We're not getting Wesley though. They confirmed that he's not coming back for season 3. So that's a shame. But hopefully we'll get Denise Crosby reprising her character as Tasha Yar's daughter. We'll see.
What about Chief O'Brien?
I hope so. I hope we get a lot of cameos that we are not expecting from others. I think we're gonna get Janeway at least a moment of Janeway in this series. But other than that, I couldn't tell you who's gonna show up besides the people already announced.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll definitely hit season 3 once it's out, and we'll be back in a few weeks with some more Gundam at MAHQ.
You have made a mockery of me.
Unbelievable.
I busted him up.
But we're proof that black and white can work together, as long as we get paid.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed and sterilized, so you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. Game over here! I said good day!